Today we're going to Georgia and we're going to check out the fried chicken sandwich, where we might see the home of the fried chicken sandwich. Is this the birthplace of the fried chicken sandwich? Is this where it came from? Well, I guess you'll just have to stay and watch to find out the answer. We love our retention time, boys! This really was an odd one to research for. Most of the other videos has been honestly quite straightforward with figuring out the origins of these food, but this one just didn't want to cooperate. But I'm excited to bring you along this journey with me as we go into the history of the fried chicken sandwich. But if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to see more of my content. But for now, let's get cooking. Today, we're making the fried chicken sandwich, and for that, we're going to need a few things. First, we're going to be making some pickles along with homemade buns and our chicken fillet. I'm excited about this one, y'all, so why don't we just jump right into it? We're going to start off by making our dill pickles. To a pot, add 1.5 cups of white vinegar, 1 cup of filtered water, and 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. Take that pot and bring it up to a boil. While that's working, we're going to work on our Larrys. Cut these up to be as thick as you want your pickles to be. I personally love my pickles a bit thicker, but you can make them as thick as you want. Add them to your mason jar. I was able to fit about 2 cucumbers into this mason jar. Once you do that, we're going to add in 5 cloves of crushed garlic, a couple of sprigs of fresh dill, and then about a teaspoon of black peppercorns. Once you have that, you're ready to add your pickling liquid. While it's hot and making sure the salt is completely dissolved, we're going to pour it over our cucumbers. Lightly put the lid on, don't make it as tight as it can right now, and we're going to let that cool at room temperature. Then we can put it in the fridge and it'll keep for several months. And now it's time to make our buns. What we need for this is really quite simple. 135 grams of whole milk, 135 grams of water, along with 15 grams of yeast and 30 grams of white sugar. Stir that up, and we're gonna let that sit at room temperature for 10 minutes. Once it's done that, you see that this kind of foam is forming at the top. That means the yeast is alive and ready to be used. In a large mixing bowl, we're going to add 450 grams of bread flour, 1 large egg, 40 grams of melted butter, along with 9 grams of salt. Give that a stir, and then we'll be ready to add in our yeast mixture. Stir this with a rubber spatula until it starts to form into a dough that you can use your hands with. On a lightly floured surface, start kneading this for 10 minutes or until the dough becomes nice and soft, and you can stretch it out without it tearing. It forms kind of this little translucent window there. That's called the gluten window. That's what we want to make sure the dough is ready. To a lightly oiled bowl, add that dough, and I'm going to put some plastic wrap on top of it. We're going to let that sit for 2 hours to rise and double in size. After that 2 hours and the dough has sufficiently risen, we're gonna take this little dough and we're gonna make like my high school bullies and punch the air out of it. Remove the dough from the bowl and we're gonna separate this into 6 equal sized pieces. Fold them up into little balls, making sure that they're nice and smooth and compact. And we're gonna add that to a baking sheet that I put a little silicone pad under there to keep it from sticking. It's not ready for the oven yet though. It needs to proof at room temperature for 30 minutes, so just cover that with plastic wrap. While that's happening, preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Once those buns have proofed, I'm gonna lightly brush them with an egg wash, then I'm gonna add them to that preheated oven. Let it bake for 20 minutes, turning around your pan halfway through. After 20 minutes, your buns should be beautiful golden brown. All these buns are missing now is just a little bit of butter. So just melt a little bit of salted butter with a silicone brush. I'm just gonna brush each of these with the butter. It's just gonna add a wonderful flavor, a lovely shimmer to the buns, just cannot be matched. Add that to a cooling rack and let the buns come to a proper room temperature. Finally, it is time to prep our chicken. Most chicken sandwiches are made with a chicken breast, but I will be using a chicken thigh for this. This chicken thigh has a bone in it, so I'm just going to simply cut the bone out and take my deboned chicken thigh and put it in a Ziploc bag. Using an iron skillet, I'm gonna press this down to make it nice and evenly flat. Next step, we're gonna need to make our marinade. For this, we're gonna need 1 cup of the pickle juice that we added for our pickles, 1/2 cup of buttermilk, perhaps a couple of teaspoons of cayenne, and a few cracks of black pepper. And that's all we're adding to this marinade. So I'm gonna take the marinade and start pouring it in the bag with the chicken. Nice and peacefully adding it to our chicken. Let that sit in the fridge for at minimum 30 minutes or up to an hour. But for now, let's go into a brief history of the fried chicken sandwich. The history of the fried chicken sandwich has honestly been one of the hardest things to pin down. When I go searching for the very first chicken sandwich recipe, I'm just met with a wall of different recipes for more than 10 tabs, all of which just trying to copy Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, or McDonald's. I look for chicken sandwiches in cookbooks, and the oldest one I can find is this book, 250 Ways to Prepare Poultry and Game Birds by Ruth Berolsheimer. This was part of a 24-volume cooking encyclopedia. It has chicken sandwiches as part of what it has to offer, but none of them seem to be a fried chicken sandwich. I don't own the book myself, so if anyone owns it and knows if it has a fried chicken sandwich recipe, that would be awesome to know. But from what I can find, it's chicken salad sandwiches and barbecue chicken sandwiches. We have old cookbooks that give recipes for what we would recognize as American-style fried chicken. Funny enough, the very first written recipe of fried chicken came from the Brits. A woman by the name of Hannah Glass wrote The Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy, which was published in 1747. The first account of eating fried chicken in the Americas come from a journal by Governor William Byrd of the Virginia colony in the 1700s. Next, we have the very first cookbook released by an African-American chef, Good Things to Eat as Suggested by Rufus, written by the former slave Rufus Estes. This was written in 1911. However, all of these cookbooks and all of these accounts of fried chicken never mention a fried chicken sandwich. As I can't imagine no one ever just looked at a piece of fried chicken and some bread and decided they should start going steady. There is no written documentation of this, so RIP all those family recipes for fried chicken sandwiches that probably existed centuries ago, but I can't find you to save my life, so thus, you are not in this video. Our first documentation of a chicken sandwich being sold seems to be in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia in 1946 at a restaurant named the Dwarf Grill. This restaurant was opened by a man named Truett Cathy. Cathy noticed that his customers would eat his fried chicken by putting it in between 2 bread rolls. This gave him the idea to just add that to the menu. Thus, the first fried chicken sandwich was added to a menu. This was such a hit with customers, it easily became the most popular item in his restaurant. Cathy was impressed by how fast food restaurants such as McDonald's was able to make food and serve customers. His restaurant was a lunch location, so people were coming in with a time crunch to get back to work. So he experimented with making the chicken sandwich in a pressure cooker with a little peanut oil to greatly speed up the cooking time. This attracted more and more customers, making the chicken sandwich the backbone of Cathy's restaurant. Through the success of the fried chicken sandwich, Cathy trademarked a new restaurant name and opened it in Atlanta's Greenbrier Mall and called it Chick-fil-A. The success of Chick-fil-A is history and it remains the fast food chicken sandwich king of America, having over 2,000 locations in 47 states. Cathy marketed with the quote, "We did not invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich." Even though that might not be true, considering even in their own history, it was the customers of the Dwarf Grill who invented it and Cathy just put it on the menu, the chicken sandwich certainly invented Chick-fil-A, and it all started in a little suburb in Atlanta, Georgia. But that is only a brief history of the fried chicken sandwich. Now, let's get back to the recipe. To fry this this chicken, we're going to need a shallow pan, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon confectioner sugar, 1 tablespoon kosher salt, 1 tablespoon ground black pepper, 1/4 cup panko breadcrumbs, and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. Give that a whisk, and that's going to be our breading. For a dredge, I'm just using 1 large egg and a splash of buttermilk. Give that a stir, and there we have it. Once we have that, we have our full frying station. Take your chicken thigh, add it to the breading, and then take it to the dredge. From the dredge, put it back in the breading, making sure to coat it completely. I don't want to see a single bare spot on this chicken. No naked chickens today. None of that. Take your freshly breaded chicken thigh and add it to a vat of peanut oil brought to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Let that fry for 6 minutes until nice and golden brown. Once done, transfer that to a cooling rack to finish the cooking process. Look at how beautiful and golden brown this chicken is. The last thing I'm gonna do is slice the buns so that I can stick them in my toaster oven for a couple minutes and let them get nice and toasty. With that, it's time to assemble our sandwich. Spread some mayo on both buns, put a bed of lettuce followed by your pickles, the chicken fillet, and then top it off with its hat. I swear that's gotta be the prettiest doggone sandwich I've ever done seen. But seriously, this has to be the prettiest sandwich I've ever seen. But enough gawking at this beautiful specimen of a sandwich. I think it's about time we dig in. Well, it looks like we got a new challenger for the chicken sandwich medals! Before even biting into this, I mean, look at this thing. It's thick, the buns are just so soft and perfectly crisp from the toasting. The pickles, perfect thickness. I don't like these wimpy, like little thin pickles. I love my pickles to have a little bit of body to them. So like, even this one is a little bit thin, but I got a couple in there that are so thick. I'm so ready for this. But enough jabbering about what I think of it. Let's just taste it. This has to be probably the best chicken sandwich I've ever put in my mouth. I'm not even joking about this. Like, I love Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich. I love Popeye's chicken sandwich. I don't eat at KFC, so I don't have an opinion. Everyone else, I don't care about you. The McDonald's McChicken, like the mayo on it, like, okay, does anyone else think the mayo on the McChicken isn't real? I don't think it's real. It doesn't taste like mayo. It doesn't have the texture of mayo. What is it? But using a chicken thigh for the fillet is just, oh, you can't go wrong with a chicken thigh. It's not going to be as dry as you'll get with a chicken breast fillet. Try this yourself, make it at home. Let me know how it turns out if you make it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like this video if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe to see more. And until next time, see you later.